everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Real Results with Coach Joe. I'm your host, Coach Joe Villegas, and this is the program where we help you to improve your health, increase your wealth, and live a more fulfilling life. And I couldn't be more excited because I have my friend Chef Margo with me here today to help make some delicious food. So Margo, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
And Margo, you're the CEO mastermind behind Fridge to Table.
That's right.
So tell us about Fridge to Table a little bit so folks kind of know what they're getting themselves into today.
Thanks for the introduction. I don't know about mastermind, but I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you so much. So I've been in the kitchen space for about 10 years now. Right. My everything has always been tied to healthy food, yes. But in what capacity has kind of shifted throughout the years. I started out working in restaurants. Then I've pivoted to cooking privately
right.
as a personal chef for local families, anywhere from like 1 to 2 individuals or people with young children who
right.
are looking to, on a busy schedule, looking to incorporate vegetables into their children's diets.
Yes.
I'm sure that's something
that's
on your horizon. I don't want to say struggling, but I'm in the middle of that right now,
right, That's right.
But so that's something that was really early on for me, mm-hmm. And that kind of transitioned to meal deliveries. That was, serving me for I would say for about 6 years.
That's how I knew you. It was
yes,
delivering
yes,
of these meals to the homes.
That's right.
And Chef Margo actually catered one of my coaching sessions. I ran a nutrition course at the gym I was at for, I think it was 6 weeks, and she came in kind of right at the tail end there and did a whole spread for us, and it was nutritious and delicious. So I know today will be no different. So now you're on to catering.
That's right. Yeah, I focus on event catering and anything from like a private dinner experience to event catering. So like say a wedding or right. Like a cocktail hour for like large scale. So that's been really great so far. Yeah, and then I've kind of come back to personal chefing on a small scale, all the while trying to. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Fridge to Table. So keep
that's
that
right.
in your mind. It'll be on the final at the end of the episode. So Margo, what are we getting into today? What are we making?
Okay, so right now our weather outside is pretty cold and kind of like a delayed winter, right?
It is.
So we're in March now, and I just feel like comfort food is something I rely on throughout the week, right? Never gets old.
Right.
And then if you're looking to make kind of healthy swaps and alternatives, our cauliflower has been trendy for maybe a little bit too long now with the alternative like swapping, whether it be
it's like pizza crust, like really weird things. I'm just going to get a regular pizza and deal with the consequences.
I know, right, exactly. Or like pair it with a salad. Let's have a regular pizza and pair it, like that type thing.
We're being healthy. Okay.
Exactly. So cauliflower is sometimes overused, but I think in this recipe we're going to do a shepherd's pie, and I would say so too, yeah. And just the goal here that I hope comes through in the recipe is emphasis on vegetables. So yes, we're going to swap out the potato for the cauliflower, but I really feel like it kind of gets this like buttery consistency of a potato without even adding any butter or fat to it or any dairy at all.
I want to see that.
I hope to impress you.
I believe you for sure. You're the master.
Let's let the magic happen.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's get started. So we are going to use ground beef in this recipe. If you wanted to use an alternate ground meat, you can certainly use like ground turkey,
chicken.
Exactly. Yeah. If you are vegetarian, I would say do lentils, something like that. Okay, super easy.
Okay, cool.
Joe, would you mind helping me chop up some cauliflower?
Well, before I help you, I have to don my cooking gear as well.
Yes.
So just so everybody knows, I'm actually the grill master.
Perfect.
Just make sure you keep that in the back of your mind.
I love it.
So let's rock and roll here. What do you need me to do? How can I?
Okay, so we're going to link the recipe, right? So we'll have our viewers be able to access this at home at a later date. But so I'm going to kind of work in just for show purposes right now. We're going to kind of do like a, this is already done type thing. So I do want you to chop the cauliflower. In the recipe, we would obviously start from our carrot, celery, onion, that type thing. But let's get the cauliflower mash going because it's really just going to be like a steam. But what I love about this is we're going to steam it in some broth. So broth of your choice, like I was saying about the ground meat, is optional. Same thing with the broth. So, but the goal there is just to encourage flavor. So we're omitting the potato, but we're packing in that flavor.
And the cauliflower kind of takes on whatever you tell it to do. So
exactly.
if it's a beef broth or a chicken
it's
stock
obedient.
Exactly.
Like yes.
Too many instructions.
So today, just for like color purposes, I chose a vegetable stock, but actually, I'm gonna at the end we're gonna voila our pre-made shepherd's pie, and that actually has a nice rich beef stock in it, which I think I hope so. I hope you enjoy.
Fantastic.
And that pairs obviously very well with the ground beef that is already in it. Beautiful. So if you can, so we have our whole head of cauliflower there. Just take off the stems there, and we're gonna leave. That's perfect. Go ahead there, right in half, and then you can take the core out. But I love that this. You don't have to be super fussy at all.
Precise with it
or
or
precise,
anything.
certainly
Right,
not.
right.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
just
it's
do one of
just
these,
getting
right?
steamed. Exactly.
And eventually we're just going to
Love
mash
it
it all
off.
up. As they say, it's going to the same place.
That's so right. Yeah. So what I love about a traditional shepherd's pie is that it really is like, I don't want to say peasant food, but kind of like the history
Sure.
of it is, it's like cottage pie, shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
So I love that you can use kind of like a fridge clean out type idea.
I love that.
I
For
love
sure.
that. Yeah. So if like you have a couple ribs of celery, a couple carrots, an onion, that type thing, what can you do with that?
Don't let it go
Shepherd's-
bad.
That's so right.
Use it up, for
Yeah.
sure.
Utilizing
Okay, love it.
everything. Perfect. Okay. Thank you for, that's exactly
Well,
perfect.
I didn't want to show off, but Okay.
Joe
so
knows
we're
his
gonna
way
throw-
around the kitchen, doesn't he?
I'm domesticated. It's all
Clearly.
Yeah. Exactly. So they tell me. Okay. So I'm going to
Fantastic.
collect all this.
Thank you so much. Let's pop that into our pot there.
Okay.
And that's one whole head of cauliflower and our florets. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. And then we're going to, I can measure the stock here, but it's kind of just eyeballing as well.
Okay.
That we'll do, so I'm going to do 2 cups of stock. But it's really just to like simmer it and submerge.
Okay.
The other thing about this is we're going to drain and reserve. So it's just enough to cook.
Do we want to get this lit up?
That
here?
would be fantastic if you don't mind helping me. Thank you.
What, medium? Or
Yeah, medium heat is perfect. And if it
Alrighty.
starts to like rapidly boil, you'll reduce it to medium low.
Okay.
And we're gonna, let's put in a little salt and some seasoning now.
Some salt.
That's right, thank you so much.
That.
That's great. So I'm gonna
You're
do.
so organized, Margo.
Thank you.
Look at
So
this.
Jeff, you certainly know your way around the kitchen as well. In my training, we've learned some terms, and that's called
Okay.
mise en place, which is a French term, everything in its place,
place,
right?
that's
yeah.
right, that's
So
right, okay.
we got our mise. Okay. So now we're going to cover our pot with
Okay.
our lid, and we're going to let it do its thing. Okay. So we'll see some simmering going on, and it's like I said, like a steam, but adding in flavor.
Gotcha.
So
Okay,
that's the
cool.
goal there. Okay. Fantastic. So now, if you wouldn't mind helping me, or I don't want to put you too much to work.
Put
but-
me to work.
Okay. All
I
right.
showed up to work
I
today.
love
I'm
it.
good to go.
Thank you. Okay, if you can help me out and chop some carrots, that would be
Okay.
fantastic. I didn't want you to cry on set, so I already pre-cut the onions for
Very
you.
thoughtful
You're
for
welcome.
you. I know, I cried in one of my last episodes with Coach Jeff.
Oh,
Because
dear.
we're going heart to heart with some stuff. So check that episode out with Coach Jeff Wickersham because it was awesome. But for my
So
carrots
funny.
here, what are we looking? Just like little circles,
Let's-
halvesies?
You
What-
can really, we want it to all cook at the same rate, so just having a uniform dice. So
Size matters.
That's right. So I have done I would say a medium dice on my onion there. So if you can kind of copy that. So let's
Okay.
do like a medium
Like a
dice
half
and
and a
a half and a trim. Yep, that would
got
be
it.
perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
cool.
And then if you want to continue to chop, you can help me with the celery, or we can swap out, whichever.
Oh, I'm
okay,
good.
all right.
I got it.
I so appreciate
All
that.
right.
Thank you, thank you. So our cauliflower is doing its thing right now. We are going to chop up our
How's that look,
carrots.
Chef
That's
Margo? Look at
perfect.
that.
That's great. I would say that's perfect.
Beautiful.
Joe, thank
Beautiful.
you so much. So our carrot, celery, and onion, we're going to refer to as our mirepoix.
Okay.
Another French term. I am not French, but a lot of cooking
Right,
comes
right.
from French
France, right?
techniques. That's right.
Right.
So I was talking about the flavor that we want to pack into this recipe. So as you're chopping, I'm just going to kind of go through what we have here to look forward to.
Awesome.
I love that this recipe is kind of onion forward without being like raw oniony.
Overpowered.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like crazy onion breath at the end?
Oh
You're
yeah.
right.
Hopefully we're going to have
Shepherd's pie breath.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's so right.
Beautiful.
So let's just go through the rest of my mise en place. We have some fresh thyme.
Okay.
We have some onion powder, which I find to be really helpful within the cauliflower mash itself. That, like you said, it takes on whatever flavor you kind of give it.
Gotcha.
So we have our vegetable stock in there, but also the onion powder is super helpful. We have garlic powder as well. I have some fresh garlic too, but
Okay.
inside the cauliflower mash, I find that the garlic powders, but sparingly, is helpful.
Right,
You
right.
know, the raw garlic could have a little bite, but
Is there a reason to do both?
the reason is, I would say we're going to do a saute within, but the cauliflower mash, I think that the goal would be to have it be nice and smooth and velvety. So I just like that it's dried already, and we don't need very much, but it kind of just gives it that nice
Little
balance.
hint.
That's right.
Love it.
Yeah. Another thing that's going to come through subtly within the shepherd's pie, the ground meat mixture, would be our dried sage. I really like that. Too much is
I
like a little.
love sage.
I do too. I
Like
really
breakfast foods and
yes,
stuff? Oh,
yes,
forget it.
right. A breakfast sausage
Oh,
would
yeah.
have your
All
sage in
day.
there.
That's right.
A lot of, if we think of Thanksgiving recipes,
Yes.
that nice like warm saginess
favorite
is really
holiday.
good. Can you smell this for me, Joe? It's pretty strong, right? But it's
no,
earthy.
It's so like
yeah.
earthy and fragrant. It's just,
I'm
it
glad
reminds
we're
me
on
of
the
the
same
holidays.
page. Yes, me
that's
too.
awesome.
Yep, I totally agree.
Very nice.
So I really love that in here. And again, we'll link the recipe so you'll be able to go through all of the measurements there. And thank you for moving on to our celery from Mirepoix.
And to that point with the recipe, so if you head over to resultswithjoe.com, I'll be posting the recipe that Margo has for you today.
Awesome.
So what do we got next? I'll keep chopping this.
Okay,
and now
fantastic. So we're up to a little simmer here on our cauliflower, and I'm just going to give it a little mix around to make sure everything is kind of getting coated nicely.
Okay.
And just check on that. And again, I love that this is no fuss. Like the florets don't have to be the same size at all.
Oh, easier the better.
Exactly.
Seriously.
Yes. So yeah, talking about easy, I love that this can be like a weeknight recipe where I would give yourself a half hour and. That's from start to finish in terms of when you're going to pop it in the oven, because I do like to give it a finish at the end in the oven. It helps to give the cauliflower, like it lets it does its thing. It gets bubbly. It kind of melts the flavor. It gets delicious. That's exactly.
So 30 minutes, you said.
30 minutes, and then maybe like 10 in the oven, and then you're done.
So an episode of Real Results with Coach Joe,
Perfect.
and then you're back in the oven and you're good to go. So
perfect.
I want to take a quick pause there.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. But when we come back, we're going to be putting
You can be confident choosing Farmers Insurance. There's no need to knock on wood.
Perfect.
This is an unnatural amount of natural light.
Thank you.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Liberty Mutual. They customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. And by switching, you could even save $652. Thank you, Liberty Mutual. Now, contestants ready? Go! Why? Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Do you ever wonder why you're doing what you do in life? Do you wish that you could be really happy and passionate about what you do? Or maybe you already are and you want to expand in a different direction. Hi, I'm Barbara Ann, the new host of What the Why on RVN Television. I love what I do. A lot of that has to do with my story, my journey to this point in life. And guess what? Everybody has a story. So please join me on RVN Television for conversations with leaders from all walks of life about what they do, and more importantly, why they do it, how they found their core purpose, their passion, their mission in life. And if you're looking for your own, maybe you'll get some great suggestions on how you too can find your why.
My dream day with Offset starts like...
Cardi, baby, get in. I surprised you with a place all to ourselves.
Thank you, baby.
You look gorgeous tonight, baby. We share our favorite McDonald's order.
And we start with a cheers. Let's eat. The Cardi B.
An Offset meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Real Results with Coach Joe. I'm here with Chef Margo, and we are making a healthier version of a classic shepherd's pie, which you said yourself, Margo. This is kind of like an easy, you got to clean the fridge out.
Yeah,
don't let
so
it go to
easy.
waste. Let's put it together. So
That's right.
Just to recap, instead of doing the ancient recipe with the potato, we're going new wave.
That's right.
Following the cauliflower deal, and we're going to have a
Exactly.
nice silky cauliflower top on this.
Yeah, I
Did
like
get
that.
right?
Yes, and
I'm
it will
trying
be
to elevate
silky.
everything.
No, it's very elevated. That's so
Okay.
right.
Cool, cool, cool.
And just you reminded me also that the traditional recipe does usually have ground lamb in it, but again, like we talked about the protein, everything is optional. And
Choose your own
just-
adventure.
I like it.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So it looks like our cauliflower is definitely off to a great start in steaming. It's looking like halfway there, looking so good, taking on those nice flavors of our broth.
smell it. It smells
yeah,
delicious.
it really
Oh, yeah.
does. It smells so good. That we're gonna cook until, I would say like, 10 minutes,
Okay.
but until it's fork tender, right? So think of when you mash potatoes, you want them to be like,
right through.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Nice and tender like that. Same thing with our cauliflower. Once that's done steaming, we could either use a high-speed blender, so if you have a great Vitamix at home, you could use that, or an immersion blender. I've brought that with me today.
Oh, I love mine. That thing is
You can do so much with this, right?
everything.
Sauces, all the great
Even
stuff.
like tomato sauce, because I throw the whole crushed tomato
Oh
in
yeah,
there and just
yeah.
and
That
you're
and
good to
that's
go.
like an optimal because yeah,
Yes.
that gives you the best tomato, I
my
would say.
gosh,
So you're
it's
off
so
to a
good.
good start there.
I know.
Yeah,
All right, I'm
yeah.
getting hungry.
Me too. Awesome. So okay, so we're gonna turn off this now, and we have a little bit of reserved cauliflower mash from my original batch. So I just wanted to show the viewers it's nice and silky.
It is.
Let's go like
It almost
this,
looks
just
like
to
a gravy.
It does. It does. So we're kind of on that Thanksgiving like hearty
Yeah, I'm
comfort
all about it.
food.
It's my favorite holiday.
Yes, yes, same. Me too. So let's go ahead. We're gonna swap that out.
Can I put
That's
this over
okay.
here?
That would be great. Excuse me, Joe. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're gonna work on our filling. So just you can swap out. Go ahead and we'll turn that on. Thank you. So I've already cut and sauteed some filling right there. Since our pan is heated, I'm just going to add in a tablespoon or two of olive oil or cooking oil of choice. If you want to do butter, I'm also okay with that.
Yeah,
You know, if we're
yeah,
kind of
right.
keep it lighter, we can do olive oil.
For sure.
Or another oil of choice. So this is like 90% tender.
Okay.
So we're just going to work on our filling now. We have our mirepoix in there.
Which is this.
Carrot, celery,
For the
and onion,
non-French
that's
speaker
so
listening,
true.
Myself.
Yes.
So this would be your onion, carrot, and celery.
That's right.
And then what else do you have in our filling here?
I've also gone ahead and put in some chopped mushrooms, so mushrooms
Ooh,
of
love
choice.
that.
I love it too, and I think that it does add, yes, exactly, right there. I've chopped a cremini there, but
Okay.
really any type of mushroom, I just try to stay away from the white ones. I don't think they have so much flavor.
Okay.
But if you have that on hand, I think it's great, again,
Perfect.
to just throw in. I love that the mushroom takes on like a meaty texture, so
Yeah.
if you wanted to kind of scale back on the meat that you have in there and add a little bit more of that, I think that it kind of does.
A little more chew to it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm
and
down with
amps
it.
up the flavor too.
For sure.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and all what we've mentioned there so far is going to go into our pan.
Cool.
Start to saute.
Oh, man, I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Nice and flavorful. Awesome.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so we have.
Take the empty.
Thank you so much.
Clear that
Thanks,
out. I gotta make
Joe.
myself useful.
Oh, you are doing your part for sure.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna get that going. Let's go ahead and we can add in our ground meat.
Okay.
I'm gonna be clean here
Yes.
and use my gloves.
Food safety is important.
That's right.
No joke. You don't want
That's
to get
so
yourself
right.
sick.
I know, that's so true. So I'm gonna be a good girl here and use my gloves and put in my ground meat.
Alrighty.
If you want to go ahead and break it up as you put the meat in, that's always helpful so you don't get these like big chunks.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
do, I brought a little tool with me today that's helpful.
Oh, like the masher?
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that.
Do you have one at
That's
home?
it, yes.
Yeah.
I use
Awesome.
this thing. I'm gonna reach over here.
Yeah, please.
I use this thing like on the daily because I eat a lot of meat in my house.
Yes.
I'm a big guy. I like to lift weights. And like, so this thing, rather than use a spatula or a wooden spoon or something, and it takes you all day, literally cuts down the time a fifth of the time. 'cause
That's
it's
so
5
true.
things.
Yes,
It's
I agree.
Awesome.
Yes,
So
super
I don't know what
good tool.
company makes these. If you need people to sponsor, Coach Joe's your guy. Or
Hit 'em
Chef
up.
Margo, hit us both up. I'm sure they're watching the show right now.
They must be.
Must be.
They must
It
be.
has to be. Okay.
Fantastic. Okay, so we want all those flavors to melt together, right?
Yes,
So we're
yeah.
gonna make sure we saute
Okay.
that all together. And like you mentioned with that funky tool, which I love, that will help in making sure all of the bits of ground beef are chopped up in small pieces so we don't get any chunks. It also just helps for like cook time, like you mentioned.
Right.
You don't get any big chunks. You don't have to sit there and have some be like overly dry
Right.
and some be underdone. So I do find that to be super helpful.
I think so. This is something I've sort of figured out just by way of cooking a lot of the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
Is growing up we'd make ground beef for tacos or something, and my folks would always drain the meat.
Yes.
But I found if you cook it at a high enough temperature and saute it, that moisture just cooks off.
Yes.
And you don't have to go like dump it into a strainer
I
or something.
agree.
You can just keep right on going with what you're doing.
That's
so
my
is
MO
that
too
typical
with that.
practice or is that?
So yeah, I do agree with you. That kind of the old school method, and I don't know
Yeah.
if it was necessarily like for cooking purposes or being really, really ultra conscious about the fat content. But
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, today I've used a blend of like 80% and 20%. I'm sorry, 80%
Right.
meat and 20% fat. So I think that if you're gonna go with like that route, like that's okay too. Like it's, you know.
We could do 93.7 or
Exactly,
whatever they got
yeah,
at Trader
yeah.
Joe's, wherever you're
right,
going.
right.
Yeah, for
Ask
sure.
your butcher too. Like if you have
Yeah.
something, if you're under dietary restrictions, you can certainly be
Perfect.
flexible with that.
Or use a leaner meat. Turkey,
That-
chicken,
So true.
swap it out.
Exactly. You have the
Awesome.
option there, like you said, choose your own adventure.
Exactly. That's what
And
it's all about.
I don't find that you need to necessarily drain. I also feel like it keeps it nice and moist. So this is like essentially a casserole, right? This is comfort food.
Right,
so go ahead and do what you want here, but I don't think that you need to drain. I also feel like we're going to add in some more moisture, so why take away,
Why
right?
take away? Exactly.
Perfect.
Okay,
okay,
cool.
so I'm going to go ahead here and continue to give it a nice stir and some browning.
Wow. Now, are we throwing any of our seasonings
Yes,
on it?
we
I'm getting ahead
are.
of the game?
No, that's perfect. That's
Okay,
coming
perfect.
next. So once that comes to a brown uniformly, we would like to put in a couple cloves of garlic. Now this, we're going to cook it through, but I do love garlic.
No
So
doubt, I'm
my
with you.
recipe is going to
Yep.
have a good amount of garlic to
Yeah,
it.
don't shy away on this show.
I know,
That's for sure.
I know, I do love it. And there's like, there's some health properties to and benefits to garlic. So
Definitely.
I like to tell myself that as I ward away the
Yeah,
vampires.
no health benefits like Ben and Jerry's, but garlic
That's
we can get away with it. We can make that happen. Okay,
That's so
I'm
true.
down with it.
All right, so we're going to give it a nice saute. We don't want it to burn, so if you start to notice any sticking to the pan
Right,
with
right,
the
right.
garlic, certainly reduce your heat and your flame there.
But you want to keep it moving.
That's
Is
so
that kind of
true.
the idea? Okay.
Yeah, that is ideal. And we were talking about our masher. I see a little chunk there, so I'm just going to give,
This thing.
yeah.
Like, greatest inventions of all time.
Truly.
Like air conditioning's up there. Listerine.
There you go.
This meat masher is like probably number 3.
You have your priorities in line.
Hey,
so
I know what
I
I like,
like
you
it.
know?
That's right. That's
All
right.
good. Perfect.
Fantastic. Okay, so we got our chunks removed there.
Okay.
Garlic is sauteing. We're going to go ahead and add in some tomato paste. This is kind of not traditional with every recipe, but I've made it with and without, and I like it with. So hopefully,
So what does that do, though? What does that help?
it's going to add in flavor.
Okay.
I've seen some recipes with like a crushed tomato, but I feel like this is concentrated, right? It's a tomato paste,
Right.
and it does a lot with not needing a lot. And so if you're, if you're like not looking for a ton of acid in this recipe,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like it is like intended to be pretty mild and rich and flavorful and comforting like
Right,
that, and
right.
not like super acidic.
too intense.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
definitely.
adds a richness without being too intense.
And does it like thicken things up a little bit too?
I
in
do
a way,
find that this
or-
adds almost like you mentioned what that looked like being a gravy there.
Yeah,
It kind
yeah.
of does create its own like gravy and sauce within without having to add a ton of stock and then
Yeah.
maybe add like a roux, which or
Right,
or
right.
slurry or anything
Oh my
to
gosh.
make it
I'm getting pretty excited. I'm
yeah,
hungry.
awesome.
It's
So
like full on Thanksgiving action right
that's
here.
right, so true. And I don't know about you, but I'm smelling the
Oh, the
flavors
aromas
melting
are
together.
crazy.
Yeah,
I know.
it's really coming together. So I will stir that in just a moment, but I do want to add in about a half cup of stock. It's
Okay.
okay that this is vegetable and this is beef,
Right.
but like I mentioned before, that's optional and. It'll still be super delicious there.
Okay,
So I'm going to
cool.
go ahead. I did about a tablespoon of our tomato paste. I wouldn't go like too much on too
It was a
heavy on
very
that.
little bit.
Yeah,
Doesn't take
yeah.
much, right? Just
No,
a-
definitely
Just a dot, not a lot.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Okay, so in there we have our seasonings. I'd also like to put in some fresh thyme. I've gone ahead and picked it off the stem. We can give it a rough
How
chop
long
too
did
really
that take
fast.
you?
I've gotten pretty good about just like,
Ripping them off?
Yeah, that's right. And this is again about a tablespoon there. I love the smell of fresh thyme. I'm not super
doesn't?
picky, right? I know, I agree. It really does go with the flavors we're trying to achieve here. I'm not super picky about removing from the stems unless you find that there are like really woody pieces. Certainly then take it off to the, that tiny little fine part of the stem. But
About that,
yeah,
or-
that's perfect. That's a perfect chop.
Just throw it in?
Yeah, that'll be great if you don't mind.
Yeah, we
Thank
definitely don't
you.
want twigs in our food. That's
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Right, that would not be enjoyable,
We
not
want
delicious.
Sans twig on this recipe.
Yes, perfect.
Very, very nice. Okay,
Awesome.
cool.
All right, so our flavors are going to melt together. We have a little bit of a sauce going on, if you can see
Looks
inside our
delicious.
pan. Yeah, definitely not dry and flavorful. It's going to absorb a bit, so it's not going to be so runny and
Right,
soupy.
right,
So once we're at that point, we know we're there. We also want to check to see for doneness, so
Okay.
we're going to make sure that our meat is cooked all the way, but we want it to absorb the liquid. And then we can give it a taste as well.
Awesome.
To
Don't
see
mind
where
if
we're
I
at.
do.
Yes, that's right.
I think also too, right? It's going in the oven, so like, it's
Yes,
going to cook
exactly.
off more of that moisture.
Exactly.
The journey doesn't end here.
That's right. That's so
Gotcha,
true.
okay.
Let's go ahead and also season a little bit more.
Sure.
What we are going to, let's go ahead and put in Another teaspoon of salt. This is also to feed a family, so you might think like, oh, a
me?
teaspoon.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly. Found a meat, perfect. So, in terms of sodium consciousness, you might think that's a bit, but it can carry
Spreads
because
itself
that's
out.
right. That's
Okay,
so true.
for sure.
Yep. Let's do a half teaspoon of our ground sage. Just sprinkle that in.
Man, that's gonna smell so good.
Yeah, yeah. And then let's go ahead
Delicious.
and do some onion powder.
And these are all kind of really like approximations. Like you're cooking to taste, but we're just sort of giving round numbers
That's true.
and measurements. For
Right,
folks.
exactly. And certainly when it comes to salt and pepper.
Oh man, that smells so
you like
good.
that?
Oh my
Awesome.
gosh.
Great.
So this is really coming together. We've got our cauliflowers over here getting happy. We would kind of mash that up or threw it in
That's
the
right.
food processor maybe, or use the immersion blender.
Yes.
And then we've got our filling here. So
We're almost
getting
there.
close. And
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry. So we'll kind of.
Dinner's going to be on the table really
Any
soon,
minute,
right?
that's right.
Exactly. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish that up there. Once we're set with that, it's really just assembly.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
I have a baking dish set. If you have like a Pyrex, a
Pyrex.
casserole
Yep.
dish type thing,
Okay.
that would totally work too. Anything that's oven safe.
Yes.
We're going to do, I think we'll bake it at 350. So, just something that's oven
The
safe at
preset,
that
the
temperature.
default. Turn it
Exactly,
on, rock and roll.
exactly.
Okay.
I'm going to do some freshly cracked pepper as well. Just a little balance there.
Perfect.
I should also mention that in the cauliflower mash, if you want to add some pepper, you could do black pepper. You could also do white pepper if you want to kind of preserve that
so you don't
nice.
see- yeah,
yes,
okay.
yeah. Alternatively, I've seen some recipes with the cauliflower mash that have water in it, again to preserve the
Right.
color.
All
I
right.
just want more flavor, so
Yeah.
that's why I opted for stock.
Yeah, no doubt.
Awesome.
Any chance we can get, right?
That's so true.
For sure.
All right, so I think we're almost there with
gosh.
the ground meat. If we want to give it a little taste, Joe, what do you
though.
think?
I do. Here, we'll both.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to reduce this so we don't burn our mouths super, super hot, but let's go ahead.
I'm gonna jump right in here.
Perfect.
Oh man. That
Pretty
is really
good.
good. That is
Yeah.
like, it's almost like Thanksgiving dinner on a spoon.
Thank you.
That's delicious.
I take that, yeah,
my
quite
gosh.
seriously. I love Thanksgiving as well. All right,
so
I'm going to
good.
lower my heat there because we're pretty much done.
Okay.
The next step would just be to assemble our casserole there. That can go ahead. Thank you. If you don't mind holding it,
Yeah,
that would
I
be
gotcha.
great. Thank you
Put
so
me to work.
much. Thank you. So a nice layer. Again, I mentioned that this is kind of a family portion. So say you wanted to do some meal prep for the week, you could put these into small containers and portion accordingly if you're just one individual.
Okay.
But, just being that it's a kind of like family style, cottage pie, peasant food, whatever you want to refer to this as, it really just like super not fancy, no fuss, put it in a casserole dish, top it like that, and like,
Simple the
and
better.
you're good.
And
Yes,
you're good. Awesome.
exactly.
Okay, so we'd take our cauliflower mash.
Yes, we would do that.
Sort of just
Go ahead.
drain that over top.
That's perfect. Thank you.
I'll put that together there.
Now this is just a kind of a small amount, and we'll spread it. But if the cauliflower mash of one head should probably yield about 3 to 4 cups. So just to give you an idea, it would definitely be able to cover more. And we have
good.
one already done. So that will go
yes,
ahead
we
into
have
the
it
oven.
In the oven. Let me
Yeah.
go pull that out.
Perfect.
Get down here.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Want me to swap this one?
Yep. Let me just get these.
Yeah.
Super hot.
Excuse me, Joe. Thank you.
Awesome. Alrighty. So I'm going to move these out of the way. So we'll show the viewers what we're talking about. So we got our filling. We've got the cauliflower mash on top.
That's right.
It looks like a traditional shepherd's pie, just a little more color to it. Like it's been in the oven for a while.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
awesome.
The color darkens a little bit. It's, this is our starting point, and that's our
Yes.
end point. It gets bubbly. It does its thing. The flavors kind of marry together
Right,
really
right, right.
nicely. But again, no fuss. It's like super easy, and it looks like someone wants to try.
Yes.
So
we just dig right in?
yeah,
Let's try a bite?
please
All
do.
right, okay.
Yeah, go
You're
ahead.
going to have a bite too, right?
Yes, please.
All right. So this is the finished product. We're putting both together. Let's try it. Oh, yeah.
What do we think?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. And honestly, you almost wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the cauliflower and traditional potato. It's just a little lighter.
I think so too. I
There's so
definitely
much
think
flavor
so
in
too.
there.
Yeah, certainly
That's
not
delicious.
shy on flavor.
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Well, Margo, thank you for coming in and teaching us this delicious recipe. Again, if you want to find this, it's going to be on resultswithjoe.com. That'll be there to download. Margo, where can folks find you? So let them know.
Okay, well, I have a website. It's www.fridge2table.com. That's the name of my business. On Instagram, also Fridge to Table. You can find me there. Send me a message if you have any questions about this recipe today, or just check out what I have going on.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you, Joe.
And to all of you watching, we'll see you on the next episode of Real Results.